that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder.
Representative Jasmine Crockett pulled no punches on CNN, going off on Elon Musk and everyone on the right who, one way or another, helped put Donald Trump in office. She did not hold back. Let's get into this clip. Be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button.
A special government employee, would that give him the right to be able to access the Treasury Department's payment system or even USAID?
No, absolutely not. I like that you laid out the description of the type of employee he is. This is the first that I'm actually hearing of it. We thought that this may have been his classification. With this classification, you normally are not allowed to run anything. Absolutely not. So that's already exceeding the scope of what you're allowed to do with this type of classification. That's number one. Number two, with this type of classification, you're looking at maybe about 120 days. This isn't somebody that is supposed to be on full time forever. So maybe that's why he wants to sleep on the job, because he knows that it's supposed to expire. But right now we have an administration that could care less about what the courts say that they can do, that could care less about what the law says, that could care less about the Constitution. And so I think that we have to understand that we are not dealing with normal people. We are dealing with someone who is proven to be a criminal, proven to be disrespectful to us as Americans. And listen, we have to fight him the exact same way. We have to come back with the same type of energy, which means that if you want to play ball, then I'm ready to play ball. Listen, you guys decided to do this while the House was out. Well, the House is back in as of tomorrow, and I can guarantee you there will be some spicy things that I will be up to tomorrow, because I am a duly elected member of the U.S. House, and we will have some things that we are trying to do. As of today, we know that
well, like what, for example?
So Ranker Meeks, who is the ranker for Foreign Affairs, he filed a privilege motion as relates to this trade war, which, of course, Trump has allegedly resolved that very quickly. But he was exceeding his emergency powers. He was misusing his emergency powers to try to engage in this anyway. So at this point in time, if we've got to file privilege motions, if we've got to do amicus briefs, if we've got to physically show up some places and ask some questions, because you can't keep us out. You may be able to say to whomever is running security somewhere that you're going to keep employees out. But as a sitting member of Congress, especially one that serves on oversight, and I've got oversight over the entire federal government, you're not going to keep me out of anything.
One of the things that's been happening in terms of the playing ball has been federal unions have been suing to block Musk's ability to actually access the sensitive data for the Treasury. Yeah. Congress, obviously, in a different position than a litigant, an average litigant. What could the Democrats do specifically, as opposed to being in the majority, to actually try to combat this? It doesn't sound like there's the largest of appetites among Republicans to say that the mandate may have been for you to serve in office, but not to have this wide scope of authority for a non-elected official.
One thing that seriously has me scratching my head is how so many Trump supporters are just cool with Elon Musk having access to all our personal information. Like, these are the same people who were freaking out about government overreach, but now they're just turning a blind eye while Elon lets random engineers dig through all our data. It's pretty insane when you really think about it.
Well, I'm definitely going to say that the mandate wasn't there at all. The numbers are really small, kind of like his crowds. So I'm not going to say that there was a mandate. But what I will say is that it is time for us to stand shoulder to shoulder with those that are going to file those lawsuits. We've got to make sure that they know that we are giving them access to our constituents, making sure that they know these are the stories of our constituents. These are the ones that are willing to testify about the fear that they are living through. I get emails consistently about people saying, what the heck is going on? And here's the reality. The reason that you have to have a certain level of clearance before you can engage in these types of actions, or you may even have to be confirmed in some way, is because really you can cause a lot of harm. And no one has explained, listen, if your whole job is to figure out where we can cut money, then sit down and look at the budget and say, line by line, listen, Mr. President, what you should do is in your proposed budget that you send over to the Congress, you should cut this, you should cut that, the same way that he decided during his first term that he was going to zero out money for HBCUs, and Dr. Adams had to come and fight to get that money for HBCUs back.
I will note that if you are a special government employee, there are limitations for when you have to file disclosure or ethics. If you exceed a certain amount of time, it triggers even more oversight over who you are for the reasons you're talking about. But I want to get to a new appointment that seems to be happening. President Trump is appointing Darren Beattie to a top State Department role. I know many people remember who Darren Beattie is. He was fired in 2018 from being a speechwriter. He was speaking at a conference attended by white nationalists. And then a few months ago, he posted this, Congresswoman: competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men.
I had no idea this even happened, but I can guarantee if I went on X right now and searched for it, I'd find a bunch of people defending it like it's no big deal.
Your reaction to his appointment?
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations he's a white supremacist, and that's why he apparently fired what he. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beattie in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any way?
No, it doesn't change my opinion, because we saw what he literally recently just posted, and the coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen.
What the representative is saying here is exactly why so many people just tune out. It's over the top and completely misses the bigger picture. When you start calling everyone a white supremacist, it waters down the meaning to the point where people just stop caring. It's the same as throwing around woke or DEI as a catch-all for everything you don't like. The truth is, not every white person who showed up on January 6th was some hardcore racist. A lot of them were struggling, genuinely believing Trump was their solution. Labeling them all as racists doesn't help. It just pushes them further into the arms of people who are more than happy to exploit their frustrations for political gain. And it's the same deal with blaming DEI for every problem in society. It's just another distraction fueling the culture war instead of actually addressing real issues.
And if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. But I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably...
Man, I don't get why Representative Jasmine Crockett is trying to frame this as just a race thing. That argument isn't going to land, but the real issue is that she actually believes it. Like, come on. Trump and his supporters aren't just going after one group, they're going after everybody. And let's be real, trans people have been one of their biggest targets so far. It's not just about race, it's about power and control. But what do you think? Do you agree with her take, or do you think she's missing the bigger picture? Drop a comment and let me know, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos.